Hi, and welcome to our next episode of Get in the Habit with myself, David Finch, and
Sue Allsworth.
welcome along. So, how you doing? I say welcome along. We've been sitting here for ages, just chatting with each other, haven't we? There we are. We just hit record, and here we are with our second episode, because we had our first episode, which was just about setting things out, and this episode we're actually talking about habits. So, what are we talking about today, Sue?
Today, we've decided, because I know we connected on music, because you've hosted a hospital radio show at one point, and I know we really connected when we started talking about music. And one of the habits that certainly was a really big step forward and leap forward for me was getting into the habit of listening to positive music.
Right, okay, yeah. And I like the way you say positive music, because music comes in all different shapes and sizes, doesn't it? And funny enough, only last night, my wife and myself, we were sitting watching a bit of TV. TV was rubbish, as is lots of times, but we started to flick around YouTube and we started to reminisce on some of the tracks that we used to go out and dance to. When we first met, me and my wife met in 1988. 87 or 88. Oh, blimey, better get that right. Hope she's not listening. 88 it was, the summer of 88, which was a fantastic summer. And it was all, and one of the tracks that we watched last night on YouTube was that song that it's called, we call it Acid. And it's Acid.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. D-Mob it was, right? Yeah, funny enough, I mean, you wouldn't say that you would listen to that and maybe you wouldn't call that a positive song. You know, when you say, oh, positive music, uplifting music, whatever. However, because we first met, and I was a mobile DJ in those days as well, and she said to me, put that song on. She said, it always reminds me of when we first met. And I came to a disco with you. And she said, you played it. And I went, what is this song? And it was that song, Acid, Acid, like that. And some of our listeners probably listening right now are going, what is he on about? Look it up on YouTube.
We are not promoting drugs in any shape or form. I'd just like to put that out there.
It's a misconception that the song is about acid, the drug, which it's not.
No.
If you actually listen to the words, it's not about taking drugs. What it's about is the music being acid music. And there was a whole, back in the 1988, 89, 90, there was this whole movement of acid house music. And as I say, I was a DJ at the time, big into that. And that, for me, was positive music. And we started to play a few of those tracks that was around at the time. So, yeah, I think positive music comes in lots of different ways. But what would you call positive music?
For me, I come from in my late teens a bit of a heavy metal background. I have been known to go to a Megadeth concert and completely put my neck into spasm from the headbanging and everything. And again, I just look back on all the music. You put a song on and I'll start singing the words and it'll come. But how many times do we sing songs without actually examining the words that we're singing? Because now that I've learned about law of attraction and affirmations, and basically songs are just a whole lot of statements put together, affirmations, and they can be positive, negative, what have you. And I used to also listen to a lot of what I call now achy breaky heart music, which I didn't realize held me in that achy breaky heart energy. So it didn't enable me to sort of heal, because every time I might have been healing, I put on my achy breaky heart song, all by myself, sort of thing, don't want to be.
Yeah.
But as soon as you're singing that, you're kind of feeling that loneliness and desperation. So songs, it was In 2014, when I went and did my Heal Your life coach and workshop training, and they had a guest come in the afternoon. Laura Topper is her name. She's a good friend of mine, and she had done a new kind of like a new thought CD and music and sang some. So I bought the CD, and I was driving back from Birmingham, so I had 4 hours drive back, and I just put this CD on loop, just over and over. Didn't listen to anything else because I didn't realize how much of the negative thoughts in my head there were. And
Right.
music, positive new thought. Karen Drucker was one that came into my life. Then she's an American, but all her songs were positive affirmation songs, and it was kind of like, oh my goodness, this is what I need to help me rewire the brain, the mind. I'd healed from some traumas, but the aftermath is that you can't forget those negative thoughts, and they've become the habit, even if you're actually not attached to them anymore because you've healed. You can't, I'd come out of depression and different things, but I still had some really, my go-to thoughts were, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Because that had been my habit for so long. But when I actually then examined that thought and thought, actually, is that my truth anymore? It wasn't. So music, every time I caught myself with a negative thought and asked myself, is that my truth now? And the answer being no, probably. It was like, okay, where's the music? I need me some music. I need to put those songs. And then it really got me exploring. I've got, not plugging anything because you've got Spotify and Amazon and all of these sites out there now that the streaming. Yeah. Mine is Amazon, and I've got a folder of about 400 songs now that I've been adding to, and it's like, oh yes, I love the words to that. That's releasing. But as you say, we all connect to words and songs differently.
Yeah. It's amazing actually listening to that you connect more to the words of a song than I do. I connect, if you like, to the memory of a song. So, as I was describing earlier on, that we was particularly having this YouTube session of playing all these different tracks from the time that me and my wife had met. And it just brought back those memories. Now, a lot of them were dance tracks, and dance tracks don't really have much of a story to them, really, do they? Not many of them anyway. Very much about living in that moment. But certainly the ones we were listening to last night, if I think about it, they're not particularly what you might call like the song "All by Myself." Straight away I think of Bridget Jones's Diary and her sitting there eating chocolates or something. Thinking that all by myself, and just kind of.
Now that's a memory I don't want to remember myself.
So, but for me, music evokes a memory, and in even recent songs, you can think, oh, this is a great song, and it evokes a kind of feeling, if you like.
The music and the words put together, I think that's another thing is, when we're doing our affirmations and things, you can get almost robotic and you're not connecting with them. And with the music and the melody behind it, I actually can get music is how you will get probably the most emotion out of me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think I'll give you another example of a great example of what you're talking about there. And sometimes people don't listen to the words. When I was a mobile DJ back in a few years ago, the song by Whitney Houston.
I Will Always Love You.
I Will Always Love You. Thanks very much, Sue. Yes.
Well see, we're in sync.
There, well done. Thanks for saving me. Yeah, I Will Always Love You. Now, I used to do lots of weddings and stuff like that. So people would choose Whitney Houston's song because it was a big #1 song at the time, and they would choose the song for their first dance of their wedding. And you think, hold on, have you actually listened to the words of that song? Because when you listen to the words, it's actually about people splitting up and breaking up. And she will always love him. He's off, but she will always love him.
She won't let go of that attachment, and I will always love you. Yeah.
And it doesn't really fit with a first dance at your wedding.
No, I mean this is what I mean by just being a lot more aware of the words that are coming out, because whether you know it or not, whatever you think, speak, and and feel, that's going out to the law of attraction. That's going out, and there's nothing woo-woo about the law of attraction. It is a natural law of the universe, the same as gravity is gravity. It only knows to do what it's there to do. And quite often you're singing words and different things, and you're emotionally connected to those words, whether you realize it or not. And for me, music does provoke memories for me, but they're not necessarily memories I want to remember.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
Because it depends what kind of life you've had. Now, I've got some songs that you'll put on. At the moment, I've got in my head, I've got the safety dance going on in my head. Now, that will provoke a brilliant memory. I've got a smile on my face because the first time I really sat and watched or listened to that song, although I was aware of it, was a friend of mine who said, "Have you seen the literal video on YouTube?" And it's actually, they've got the song, they've got the video, but they've changed the words to sort of describe exactly what they're doing in the video, which then makes it look like it makes no sense whatsoever. They do it for the eclipse of the heart, I think, as well. So that's a good memory. But again, we all get triggered by the music for memories. There's definitely that involved. And again, it depends where you've come from. Do you want those? But I made a deal with myself that from here on in, back in 2014 now, I am really going to monitor that. It doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy some old songs that bring back. Now I've got a salt and pepper going on in my head from push it real good. Now I can go into the whole rap and everything. See, that'll bring back a happy memory. So, and I've been brought up on 60s music. So I probably know more 60s music than recent music. But from 2014, I made the conscious decision that what music I choose to listen to that's new, that comes into my life from now on in, is going to work for my highest good. And sometimes that does mean I need a sad song because I need to honor what I'm feeling at that time. But I also then know that it's time when to not listen to that sad song anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, and I think our listeners will agree a lot with that. Definitely about the certain sad songs. And while he was talking there about particular songs that you can and you can't listen to, the one that sprung to my mind was Luther Vandross' "Dance with Your Father." Now, it came on the radio the other day while I was actually I was hoovering at the time, and I thought, I wonder if I can listen to this and listen all the way through. And because I was actually taking my mind, if you like, away because I was busy doing something. So I wasn't really listening to the words as you might do if you were, just sitting and you're just listening to the song or even singing along. I definitely can't sing along to that particular song. But it got halfway through and that was it. I just had to, no, turn it off. That's it. I just can't do it. I've never been able to listen to that song all the way through. Without breaking down and crying, basically, because it really is, to me, that is the ultimate sad song. However he wrote that song and he sung it, I just don't know. That was amazing, And I think it's an amazing song for people that do like that kind of thing. But for me, Luther Vandross, you want to get me crying? Play Luther Vandross, Dance for Your Father.
But do you know what? Actually, it's funny when you was talking there. The one song that came into my head then, I used to have these go-to. This was well before 2014. This was back in the sort of early noughties, 20s, and when I was suffering with some serious health issues, and I had these little go-to songs that were my power songs that would get me through it and give me meaning and understanding. And there is one song that's come into my mind that I haven't listened to for a while, and even though I'm not in that place, it is one that will remind me where I've come from and how I felt when I used to listen to it. And that's Born to Try by Delta Goodrem. and there's some lines in it. You've got to make choices. You've got to make sacrifices, be wrong or right. But I was born to try. And it was back in those times when I was really sort of fighting to get life back within me. And I was born to try. And so I can, and even now I can, even just talking about it, because it evokes, it's not a sad memory, because it reminds me of how far I have come and that I am not in that place. I can listen to it differently now. But the words, I can always remember that being one of the real first songs where the words had a really powerful impact and helped me to understand and to keep going. And I think that's another thing. Songs do give us hope. They can give you desperation if you choose them to. But if you get that right song, and it's almost like how someone's singing my story.
Yeah, you're right. You know, so I work as a hypnotherapist, and lots of times people come to see me and they feel very anxious, and you know, they feel down, low, whatever term you want to give it, whatever label you want to give that. But they don't want to be in that place. They want to be happier. And one of the questions I actually ask them is, what kind of music do you listen to? What kind of films do you watch? You know, what kind of books do you read? What's feeding your mind? And a lot of people don't realize that actually the music they're listening to is feeding their mind, even if it's just subliminal, it's on the radio, but they're listening to a particular station that plays a lot of maybe love songs, and a lot of love songs are quite sad, to be honest, you know. So maybe the reason they're sad is because maybe they've broke up a relationship, who knows. And of course they're listening to a song that's to a station that's playing a lot of love songs, and love songs that are about breaking up, and that's reinforcing the negative image that they've got in their mind at that time. So really, and my advice is to them is to look, what songs make you happy? What songs make you uplifted? And they
where do you want to be? Where do you want to move on to, so that you can start to put that energy, that law of attraction, into changing it? Because it does. It hooks you in. It almost gives you justification that it's okay to sit there and still feel pained, blame on someone who's done them wrong, hurt them, and I'm speaking from personal experience here as well. You know, those songs enabled me to feel righteous in my pain.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But if you turn that around and then you go, hold on, let's listen to some positive, uplifting, upbeat, whatever music that's going to make me feel good, then all of a sudden, that's one thing that they can change, and they can have control over themselves, and they can listen to that music, which will bring their lift them up and bring them up a bit. And then, of course, like I say about TV programs, and maybe they're watching films again. You know, some are sad films, some are happy films. What are they watching?
If you think about it, even on films are very good with how they use songs and music. Because you kind of know that there's a what we call in us a soppy session coming up in a film, or if it's a suspense, or you know, danger and what have you. So music really does evoke, even without words. Music evokes feelings, and then those feelings you can either attach to them or not, and it's then getting in the habit of not attaching to the ones that I always say are from a lower vibration, and not going to serve your highest good.
Yeah, and there's a saying that a good director of a good film would make you laugh, cry, be sad, be happy, and so on. You know, they would take you through that range of emotions throughout the film. And good films, good directors, and depends on the genre of film, of course, but they will try to do that. There's a bit of a roller coaster of up and down, a roller coaster of emotions. And really good directors and good writers will take you through that emotional roller coaster. But I think that the people we're talking about, and talking about ourselves as well, is that if we want to feed our minds good images, and feed our minds good happy vibrations and good times, then listen to music that feeds that brain the good stuff, isn't it? You know, just to mention,
when I was using music to, I'd catch myself with a negative and I'd put some positive on. By the time I finish singing that song, because I've got into my little zone, it's
Yeah.
almost like a meditative state for me sometimes when I'm singing music. But once I'd finished that song, I couldn't remember the bad stuff. The vibration had changed within me, the energy had changed within me. And so I could move forward. Okay, that's not to say that that lower vibration is not going to come back again. But then I knew, oh, right, I'll stick another song on, until slowly those lower thoughts, those negative thoughts, lower vibration is just being replaced with something that's more authentic.
Yeah.
And then it becomes innate.
Definitely. Yeah. And you're right.
If we can allow the negative to be innate, we can train the positive to be an innate within us, can't we?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right with the training. It definitely is. And for me, very much, it's about empowering people. And sometimes people feel disempowered. So one thing you can do is listen to the music that you choose, for most people anyway. So if they have got a mobile phone, like you said, there's lots of different ways these days you can listen to online music, and you can get all different genres of music. So you can choose generally what music you want to listen to, and how you're going to feed your brain and how you're going to feel from that. And I think that's the real point of certainly of our podcast today, is about feeding yourself with positive music.
Being mindful of what you're listening to, actually just taking the time, which we've all got at the moment to some degree, a lot more of, to actually examine the song, the choice, the genre of song, the choice of songs that you listen to, the words, and then ask yourself, is that your truth?
Yeah.
Because if it isn't your truth, and it is not taking you closer to your truth and your authentic, beautiful, shining soul, then of whoever you're meant to be, then let it go and find music that raises you.
Yeah.
Now I've got I raise you up in my head. See, I've only got to say a word and I've got a song popping in my head.
It came to me as well, Sue. As soon as you said raise you up, it was like, oh, hang on, raise you up. Yeah. But actually, it's quite an uplifting song, isn't it? You know?
Yes, it is actually.
And some people would say, to a degree, it's kind of has religious connotations. But if you get past that, it's actually quite an uplifting song, regardless of whether it's a religious song or not. It's
at the end of the day, whatever kind the song comes from, a lot of the songs that I've now got in my new thoughts, some are coming from a faith background, a religious background, and I'm not connected to that religion necessarily, but I've learned the word God always used to sit. I'm an ex-atheist, so I had a faith system. I just didn't believe in anything, and now I've sort of gone 360 and I've got my own system, because I think it's a very private and personal thing, faith, a relationship within yourself. So you've got but when I hear the word God now, or Lord, or if there's those words in any of the songs that I happen to like the tune to and the rest of the words, I just then turn it back to what I interpret those things to be for me, not what necessarily someone else is trying to. But quite often in a lot of New Thought songs, although they use these words, they're not actually coming from a specific attachment, because we all just use the word. Someday it's God, someday it's universe, someday it's source, it's divine energy, whatever I'm in the mood for to connect with that day. But they're all one of the same thing for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. You mentioned earlier on the fact that years ago I did used to do a hospital radio show, and believe it or not, on hospital radio you have a list of songs that you cannot play. Like songs that have death in them, or people splitting up, and there's quite an extensive playlist of songs that you're not allowed to play on hospital radio. I don't know if that's changed over the years, who knows. I think they have a bit more.
I hope not, because, well, to some degree, because you want the hospital to be a positive place to some degree, because it is. But then the other ones are good for people to listen to release and heal wounds and different things. So it's just like, I'm not saying don't listen to the achy breaky heart if that's where you're at, but just make sure that if you don't attach. And if you're going to attach to a song, make sure it's one that raises you up rather than keeps you stuck or brings you. I know I've got.
I can just imagine everyone after this podcast today are going to go off and raise you up and start listening to it, because you keep dropping it in. That's like hypnosis. So
if they do, I'm going to drop it in and go Josh Groban, because I happen to quite personally like his voice when he sings it.
Yeah, I was thinking of Westlife myself, but there you are.
This is it. There's so many different people who have done this song, so take your pick.
Got a load of choice, so that's brilliant. So I think we're coming to the end of our podcast today, which is brilliant. I've really enjoyed chatting with you today, and I think it's been great. I hope our listeners have really sort of enjoyed thinking about using positive music and how we can get positivity into our lives. And let's hope that they create playlists that are more positive from today. Who knows?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Create your positive playlist. That's a good little saying, isn't it? Positive playlist. Yeah. And even on my YouTube, if you go to my YouTube channel, Authentic Smile, I think I've got a folder there of songs that positive songs, or songs that I've used when I'm doing vision boarding, and songs that have helped me. So do pop on over there if you wanna see, and maybe search and discover a few new people.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up for today. Thanks very much for listening along today, everyone. Join us again in our next episode soon. And who knows what habits we're going to talk about next.
Exactly. We've got to get into the habit of getting into the habit now, haven't we?
We certainly have. Yeah. Let's get in the habit of creating more podcasts.
Brilliant. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
See you soon. Bye.